The buzz hits at 11:52 at night. You don't look, you already know what it says. You stop looking for 3 weeks straight. Not an accident. What happens when checking feels worse than not checking? $142.17. Rent auto drafts in 60 hours. You open a different app instead. The one with the burritos, $9 or $13. Same bowl, basically. You get the 9. Tell yourself that's the smart choice. It's not. It's the avoidance choice. There's a difference, and you don't know it yet. This is you at 22. Marketing coordinator, $19.50 an hour, a title that sounds bigger than the number attached to it. Not broke. Not fine either. Here's what you don't know tonight. Phone face down on the mattress. 6 months from now, that same buzz at 11:52 hits again. And you glance at it without flinching. You just don't know that yet. Her name is Riley. Not that anyone asks. Riley shares a 2-bedroom with Cass in a converted house on the edge of town. Rent is $1,650 total. Riley's half is $825. The car outside is a 2016 Corolla. $6,200 still owed on it. Riley knows that number. Riley doesn't know much else. There's a credit card. Riley hasn't opened that app in 3 weeks. Not because Riley forgot the password. Because not knowing feels lighter than knowing. That's the whole trick of it. Nobody tells you avoidance doesn't feel like a choice. It feels like nothing at all. Like a Tuesday. Like scrolling past something without registering you scrolled past it. This is the part nobody talks about because there's nothing dramatic to say about it. Riley's phone buzzes on a Wednesday morning. A subscription renews. Some fitness app was used twice back in February. $12.99. Gone before breakfast. No warning. No confirmation screen. Just gone. The app doesn't care that Riley forgot. The app doesn't know Riley exists. It just executes. That's the first thing worth sitting with. The system isn't cruel. It isn't kind either. It runs on a schedule, and the schedule doesn't check if you're paying attention. There's a name for what Riley's doing. Psychologists call it the ostrich effect. It's not laziness. It's not carelessness. It's your brain doing exactly what it's built to do, protecting you from information that might hurt. The problem is that the protection only works for a minute. After that, the stress doesn't disappear. It just moves. Underground, where you can't see it working against you. Sunday, hungover. Cass is asleep in the next room. Riley opens the banking app. Not just the balance screen this time. The whole statement, every transaction, 3 months back. It takes 11 minutes to load everything, sort by category, and actually read it. There's a number under food delivery that makes Riley put the phone down and pick it back up like it might have changed. It didn't change. Numbers don't do that. Only your relationship to them does. Riley doesn't screenshot it, doesn't send it to anyone, just sits there on the edge of the bed, doing something that feels smaller than it is. Looking. That's it. That's the whole action. No spreadsheet yet, no plan yet, no math yet, just looking, for the first time in 3 weeks, at something that was always there. You can't fix a number you refuse to look at. That's not a punishment. That's not a lecture. It's just the first door. And it turns out the door isn't locked. It never was. Riley just hadn't tried it. Here's what Riley doesn't know yet. Sitting there on a Sunday morning with a phone full of numbers that finally make sense as a shape instead of a fog. The number itself was never really the problem. The problem was what was hiding inside it. And next month, Riley's gonna find out exactly what that is. Monday night, Riley opens a spreadsheet. Free template, 3 columns turn into 4 by the time it's done. 4 numbers. That's all this month is. Number 1, net income, what actually lands in the account. For Riley, that's $2,940 a month. Number 2, fundamental expenses, rent, car payment, groceries, the stuff that doesn't ask permission. Number 3, future money, whatever's already going towards savings or retirement. For Riley, that number is 0, not low, 0. Number 4, fun money, whatever's left. The part that makes a Tuesday feel like a Tuesday worth having. Riley starts typing in the real numbers, not the numbers Riley assumed, the actual ones. Rent, $825. Car payment, $310. Streaming split with Cass, $11. Groceries, rough guess, maybe $280. Then the app pulls up a category Riley's never opened before. Food delivery, $187. Last month alone. Riley stares at that number longer than the rent number, longer than the car payment. $187 in bowls that cost $9, sometimes $22 on a bad week. No villain here, no hidden bank fees, no landlord raising rent overnight, just 100 small yeses that never felt like decisions in the moment. Riley takes a screenshot, doesn't send it to anyone, write the number into the spreadsheet instead under Fun Money, where it was always supposed to live, not hidden anymore. Just named. Knowledge doesn't feel like power, it feels like getting caught by your own phone. That's the trade nobody warns you about. The moment you actually look, you don't feel smart, you feel exposed. But exposed is not the same as broken. Exposed just means you can finally see the shape of the thing you've been avoiding. Here's what the spreadsheet says by the end of the night. Take home, $2,940. Fundamentals, roughly $1,400. Future money, $0. Fun money. The real number, the one that includes the bowls, is almost $1,500 a month. Riley didn't know that number existed inside the paycheck. It was always there. It just never had a name until tonight. Riley closes the laptop a little after midnight. Nothing has changed yet. Not $1 has moved. But next month, Riley isn't just going to look at the number anymore. Next month, Riley starts taking from it. The target is $1,880. That's what Riley's fundamentals actually cost in a month. All in. Rent, car, groceries, the stuff that doesn't negotiate. Riley reads that number twice and laughs. Not a happy laugh. The other kind. Here's the part nobody explains, right? Saving that much in 30 days isn't about being disciplined. It's about being willing to feel like something's missing for a while. Humans aren't built for that. You're wired to want the thing now, not the safety later. Saving feels like loss, even when it isn't one. Riley cancels the fitness app, the one that renewed itself back in month 0 without asking. Cancels the second streaming tier. Keeps the one Cass actually watches together. Starts cooking the pasta from a recipe Cass's mom texted over a year ago and never used. $4 a portion. Maybe 5. Not 13, not 22. The banking app opens a high-yield savings account in about 9 minutes. No branch, no teller, no human anywhere in the process. Just a form, a verification code, and a number that starts at 0. Riley sets up an automatic transfer. $200 a week. It runs whether Riley remembers or not. That detail matters more than it sounds like it does. Week 2, a friend posts concert tickets. $90 general admission, a band Riley's liked since high school. Riley opens the site, adds it to the cart, doesn't close the tab, just doesn't click. Riley stares at the checkout page for almost a minute before closing the tab. The hardest purchases were never the expensive ones. They're the ones who remind you who you used to be before you started paying attention. There's one thing Riley doesn't cut. The gas station coffee. $4.75 every morning on the way to work. Riley half expects to feel guilty about that. Doesn't. Turns out you can build a buffer and still keep one small thing that isn't about math. By the 3rd week, Cass asks if Riley wants to split a weekend trip. Somewhere 2 hours away, a friend's cabin, gas and groceries only. Riley says not this month. Cass doesn't push. Something in the room shifts a little instead, a distance that wasn't there in month 0. Riley notices it. Let it sit there, unresolved, the way most things actually are between people who live together and are becoming different versions of careful at different speeds. You're not depriving yourself. You're buying the version of you that doesn't panic in month 3. That's the whole reframe. Not a sacrifice. A trade made on purpose for a future Tuesday that hasn't happened yet. At the end of the month, the savings account reads $1,840. $40 short of the goal. Riley stretches it into the first week of the next month, instead of panicking about the gap. The goal was never perfection. The goal was to prove that the number could move in the right direction on purpose, for once. Riley still hasn't turned the notification sound back on, still checks the app on a schedule instead of out of dread. Next month, the buffer Riley just built is about to get tested by something it wasn't built for yet. A decision about which debt to kill first and which one to leave alone. Two numbers side by side for the first time. Credit card balance, $2,340. Interest rate, 24.99%. Student loan balance, $27,800. Interest rate, 5.5%. Riley used to think of these as one thing, debt. A single ugly word covering two completely different animals. They're not the same. They were never the same. Riley calls the credit card company about a fee. $15, tacked on for a payment that posted one day late. Hold music. The kind that loops before you notice it looping. A rep named Talia answers, reads from a script, says the fee can't be waived this time. Offer a case number if Riley wants to follow up later. Nobody's rude. Nobody's helpful either. $15 gone, exactly the way the system was built to let it go. This used to wreck Riley completely. Now it's just a fact, not a crisis. The card charges what it charges. The company isn't going to bend for a first-name caller with no history and no leverage. Riley hangs up, writes the $15 into the spreadsheet, and moves on. Riley ranks the debt for the first time. Highest interest rate first. Not the biggest balance. Not the one that feels the heaviest emotionally. The math, not the feeling. Credit card first. $24.99 beats 5.5 every single time, no matter how the emotional weight sits. The student loan waits. On purpose. Not neglect. Order. Riley takes the leftover money from month two's system. Groceries instead of delivery, no gym app, no concert tickets, and throws all of it at the card. $340 in the first month. The balance drops to $2,000. It's not gone. It's just smaller, moving in a direction that used to only move the other way. Somewhere in the third week, Riley starts the emergency fund. Separate from the 1-month buffer already sitting in savings. 3 months of fundamentals is the real target, eventually. $5,640. Riley isn't close. Starts anyway with $25 because starting small beats waiting for a number that feels big enough to matter. The instinct shows up to stop everything and just stack cash until the emergency fund is finished. Freeze the debt payoff. Freeze the investment that hasn't even started yet. Wait until it's all perfect. Riley almost does exactly that. Doesn't. Keeps the debt payments going at the same time. Small, but steady. Both things are moving, neither one waiting for the other to finish first. Not all debt is the enemy. Only the debt with a bigger interest rate than your patience. Not every balance deserves the same fear. Some debt is just math you can be patient with. Some debt is math that's actively working against you every single day you leave it alone. End of the month. Card balance $2,000. Emergency fund $100 4 weeks in. Not dramatic numbers. But the direction changed. That's the only thing that actually matters at this stage. Riley doesn't know it yet, but the emergency fund started this month is the exact thing that's going to keep next month from turning into a setback. Not because Riley planned it that way. The order just happened to be right. An email sits in Riley's inbox for 6 days before being opened. Subject line, something about maximizing your benefits. The kind of subject line that sounds like spam. It isn't. It's HR. About the 401k. The retirement account Riley's been contributing exactly 0% to since the day of hire. Riley opens it on a Thursday, mostly out of boredom. There's a match. The company adds 50 cents for every dollar Riley puts in, up to 6% of the paycheck. Riley reads that twice. 2 years. That's how long the match sat there, unclaimed. Every single paycheck. Nobody hid it. Nobody mentioned it either. It was just sitting in the handbook the whole time, waiting for someone to open the right email. Free money. Not a phrase. An actual mechanism. Contribute $1, get $1.50 before the market does anything at all. Riley bumps the contribution from 0 to 6% that same afternoon. The paycheck shrinks by about $94 every 2 weeks. Riley barely notices. The number that would have felt enormous in month 0 just quietly disappears into a line item now. Same week, Riley opens a Roth IRA. 22 years old, first real investment account ever. First contribution? $60. It feels embarrassingly small. $60, next to headlines about people retiring with millions. Next to every finance account on social media talking in numbers with 6 zeros. Riley puts the $60 in anyway. A total market index fund. Not a stock Riley picked from a group chat tip. Just the whole market, in one fund. Expense ratio so small it barely shows up as a number. Riley doesn't fully understand what's inside it. Understands enough. That's allowed. The following week, the market dips. Riley's $60 becomes $58.40. Riley checks it. Feels something close to nothing. Not the stomach drop feeling from checking the bank balance back in month 0. Just mild curiosity watching a number that isn't attached to rent or groceries move up and down on its own schedule. There's nothing to sell because there's barely anything there yet. Riley just watches. That not doing anything is the actual skill. Nobody puts that on a poster. Riley turns one notification back on. Just one category. Investment updates only. The buzz that used to mean dread now sometimes just means a number moved $1 in either direction. Riley barely reacts either way. You're not choosing between safety and growth. For the first time, you're doing both badly on purpose. Badly because $60 a month isn't going to make headlines. On purpose because badly and started beats perfectly and someday. The emergency fund keeps growing at the same time. $230 now. The card balance keeps shrinking. $1,600 now. Riley still hasn't told anyone about any of this. Not Cass, not the group chat. There's nothing dramatic to tell. Just a $60 contribution and a fund Riley doesn't check obsessively anymore. Next month, something bigger changes, not inside the spreadsheet. Inside a conversation Riley's been avoiding since the day this job started. 2 years at $19.50 an hour. Riley pulls up a salary site on a lunch break, alone in the break room, phone angled away from the door like it's something to hide. Marketing coordinators with Riley's experience in Riley's city average $23 to $26 an hour. Riley reads that 3 times, does the math on a napkin. The gap comes out to almost $6,000 a year. Riley rehearses the sentence in the car before going in, out loud, twice to an empty passenger seat. I'd like to talk about my compensation. Sounds fine in the car. Sounds different walking down the hallway toward an office with the door half open. The manager's name is Whitfield. Nice enough. Distracted, mostly checking something on a second monitor while Riley talks. Riley lays out the market data. The 2 years without a real increase. The project's finished on time, and the client, Riley, was kept from walking away in March. Whitfield nods, says he'll look into it. Riley walks back to the desk, already knowing the answer before the email ever comes. 2 weeks pass. Nothing. This isn't dramatic, and it still stings. Not a slammed door, just silence, dressed up as a maybe, which somehow costs more than an actual rejection would have. Riley doesn't push again, doesn't quit either. Just start looking sideways instead of only up. A friend from the old serving job mentions an app. Weekend event bartending, gigs booked through your phone, paid out within a day or 2. Riley signs up on a Tuesday night. First shift is a Saturday. A corporate mixer downtown, 4 hours behind a folding table, pouring wine into plastic cups. First payout, $164. Not the raise. Not even close. But real, and it lands in the account the same week it's earned, and nobody has to look into anything first. Riley picks up 2 more shifts that month. If Whitfield had said yes, it would have added roughly $400 a month, after tax, straight into the system already running. Riley didn't get the yes. Got something smaller and slower instead. The math still moves, just through a different door. Mid-month, a pre-approved credit card offer shows up in the mail. Not the predatory kind from month 0, a real one. Low limit, nothing fancy. But Riley's name is spelled correctly on the envelope, and the letter mentions the exact bank Riley already uses. 8 months ago, that same bank's app buried Riley in overdraft warnings. Now it's mailing an invitation. Riley didn't change. The pattern in the account did. Loyalty doesn't show up on your paycheck. Only negotiation does. End of the month. Card balance, $1,200. Emergency fund, $410. The side income is finally moving it faster. Roth IRA, a little over $200. Side income this month, $412. 3 shifts, 1 folding table, a lot of plastic cups. Riley still hasn't gotten the raise. Riley stopped waiting for it to be the only way forward. Riley sets up the transfers on a Sunday afternoon. All of them, back to back, in one sitting. Rent, automatic. Car payment, automatic. Card payoff, automatic. Roth IRA, automatic. The 401k was already handling itself since month 4. One separate account gets whatever's left after all of that clears. That account is the only one Riley's allowed to spend from without thinking twice. There's a term for what this fixes: decision fatigue. The more choices your brain makes in a day, the worse the later ones get. By evening, you're not choosing anymore. You're just taking whatever's easiest. Skip the gym. Order the bowl. Ignore the app. Willpower runs out by Thursday. A system doesn't get tired. 3 weeks in, a subscription tries to renew at a higher price. The same kind of quiet charge that hit back in month 0. This time, Riley catches it 2 days early. Checking once a week on a set day is enough now. It didn't used to be. Riley cancels the renewal. 10 seconds, done. No spiral. No screenshot was sent to anyone. Just a small correction, made calmly, by someone who knows where every dollar in the system is supposed to be going. Cass asks how the savings thing is going. Casual, over dishes, not really expecting a real answer. Riley says fine. Doesn't explain the 401k match, or the interest rate math, or the folding table full of plastic wine cups. There's not much to explain anymore. The system runs. Riley just lives around it now. Here's what the numbers actually say by the end of the 6th month. Credit card. Paid off. 0 balance for the first time since before this started. Emergency fund, $640. Still short of the full target, still growing every week without anyone deciding to add to it that day. Roth IRA, $380. Small. Real. 22 years old, growing on its own schedule now. Side income. Steady. Not every week. Enough to matter. None of this looks impressive from the outside. Nobody's posting it. There's no big reveal, no dramatic before and after, no finish line with confetti. It's invisible. It doesn't come with an audience. It doesn't come with applause. The secret was never discipline. It was building a system good enough that you didn't need any. Riley didn't get better at resisting the $9 bowl versus the $13 bowl. Riley just built something that didn't ask that question every single day anymore. Sunday night, 6 months almost to the day since that first buzz, at 11:52. Riley's on the couch, half paying attention to something on TV, phone sitting face up on the cushion for once. It buzzes. Later, 11:52 at night. Riley glances down, doesn't hesitate, doesn't brace for anything. An investment update. The Roth moved $4 in the last 2 weeks. Riley looks at it for maybe 2 seconds. Then goes back to the show. 6 months ago, that same buzz at that same hour meant something was wrong. Meant a balance Riley didn't want to see. Meant a phone turned face down on a mattress on purpose, because not knowing felt lighter than knowing. Nothing about tonight is dramatic. That was never supposed to be the point. Riley didn't get a raise from Whitfield, didn't hit some big number that changes a life overnight, didn't go viral, didn't quit the job. Riley just built a system. Small. Boring. Automatic. And somewhere in the 6 months of doing it, the fear that used to live inside a buzzing phone quietly moved out. Cass is asleep in the next room. The Corolla's still outside, still owed on. The bowls are still $9 or $13, and most nights Riley still gets the 9. Not because of guilt anymore. Just because that's what actually sounds good tonight. Somewhere right now, someone else is lying on a mattress, phone face down, ignoring a buzz they already know the shape of. They don't know yet that the number itself was never the problem. They don't know yet what 6 months of just looking one honest time actually buys you. The buzz used to mean something was wrong. Now it's just a sound. Nothing changed faster than the bank account. Riley did.